Hello, David.
Oh,
David.
Hi.
Hi.
Yes.
What would you like to talk about?
So I'm a atheist, and for Matt, I'm a foreman, a former Mormon.
You should have been on the call earlier.
I know that he was. I heard. Yes, that was eventful. I have a mini library in my room, and I have the Book of Mormon in my library in my religion section, next to the God Delusion.
Wonderful.
Yes, so I was Mormon all my life until I was about 17, 18. Wanted to believe, knew there had to be some God, something like that. And I started really having lots of issues, just depression and just the regular problems with not knowing where you want to be with your life.
Mm-hmm.
So I started going to a therapist who is with the church. So he is a Mormon therapist trying to give advice to a atheist. And for a while, he's been really good with it, not trying to push the religion back onto me.
Mm-hmm.
But it seems that, like, within the last few months, he's been really trying to push it. And even this last session we had last week, he blatantly stated, you will not ever find any peace or joy in your life until you find out the truth about God.
You need to leave that
I
therapist.
find that incredibly unprofessional.
It is. You need to leave the therapist.
Yeah, I've been thinking that too. Yeah, I know about the secular therapist program and everything like that. It's just he's the most affordable, I guess, for me right now, and that's the only reason I'm really staying with him.
Him being affordable and him being able to help you are two very different things. You're currently spending whatever money you're spending on somebody who's attempting to re-indoctrinate you, when what your concern is being able to deconstruct. And if he's not going to be able to help you deconstruct, which is what you're looking for, and support you through that as your choice, then he is somebody that at this point in time, regardless of how expensive he is not going to be of assistance. So simply because he holds the name counselor or therapist does not mean that he is deserving of whatever money it is that you're spending on him right now.
Yeah, that's what I've been thinking and kind of just going back and forth on. I told him that my biggest issues, because I did similar to, I guess, the story with Matt, where he went through and he read the Bible and he was trying to, he was already studying, but I was going through, I wanted to believe again. I wanted to have the answer. So I went through and I reread and I saw a lot of the issues that the Bible has.
Mm-hmm.
And same thing with the Book of Mormon that it has. And I told my therapist, I have very strong moral problems with the God of the Bible and the God that you choose to believe in. And he was asking me, oh, well, what makes you think that God is this angry, horrible person? What makes you think that that there's anything wrong with him? So I brought up a lot of the issues with rape and slavery and all these things and the Exodus 21. And he's, oh, well, I've never heard of that, but I'm definitely going to go through and read it, and we can have a conversation about it this next session. I'm going to go through and read it in the full context, because I think that you just read it and wanted to find something wrong with God and the Bible.
Yeah,
so we can
have
a conversation.
Your therapist is imbuing intent upon you, which is something that a therapist should not do. A therapist's job is to help you discover via introspection what your intentions are and explore those, what your feelings are and explore those. It is never to ascribe intentions to you. So if you have a therapist who is telling you, you feel X way because Y, and is telling you what your intentions are, as opposed to asking you to explore what your intentions are, regardless of their theological background, that is something to take umbrage with, because they are there to help you explore and go on your journey. And if they are specifically attempting to counter you when it comes to whatever belief system you have, that is also something that would be a red flag, because it is not the job of a mental health professional to shepherd someone into or out of belief systems. It is their job to guide them through their own self-directed journey regarding what they do or do not believe, and help figure out the best ways to create structures internally through, like I said, through introspection, to support the person through that, not to tell them what that journey should look like for them and what they should believe or shouldn't believe and what their intentions are toward belief.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I was trying to talk about that, and then because I know he's gonna, because I'm supposed to see him tomorrow morning. He's gonna try to come at me with apologetics about slavery. So, I'm gonna read biblical scholar writings and because they have more information than either of us, and all these things. And just,
if you feel like you have to do theological homework in order to prepare yourself in order to deal with a therapist, your therapist is not doing right by you.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to have a conversation with him, I just held up Josh's book. There's plenty of things to point them to, but honestly,
there's not the space for that.
I don't know why you would. I mean, apart from just curiosity, interest. First of all, you need to find a different therapist. If you want to continue to argue with your current therapist about what the Bible does or doesn't say because you care about them or you like the conversation, that's fine. But I'm more concerned about making sure you get the help you need, rather than taking this time that you're paying for or supposed to be working with someone on issues and debating the Bible with someone who clearly does not know it.
yeah, absolutely.
You should never have to do homework or hype yourself up mentally in order to be able to deal with what you're afraid your therapist will throw at you regarding your beliefs.
Yeah.
That is not okay in that space. That is a boundary that is not to be crossed. And either way, whether it comes to deconstruction of your faith, if that's what you want help with, or affirmation of your faith, if that's what you want help with, your therapist's job is not to tell you what to believe in either of those situations. Your therapist's job is to help you introspect so that you can figure out how to best come to a healthy mental state regarding those beliefs and how they pertain to you and your existence and interactions with others and perception of yourself. Not ever to challenge you to prove that you deserve to believe what you believe.
Yeah, your therapist telling you that you're never going to get peace without God is already that's a
red flag.
A game over right there.
Yeah, hit the eject button.
It's the whole reason we have the Secular Therapist Project.
Yeah, that was absolutely my thought there too, because I mean, like I said, for a while he was really good with it, and I've kind of.
I want to know if there's somebody to report him to with regard to licensing, because that's just not supposed to happen.
Correct.
Yeah. Because for a while, whenever I first started going to him, I was more okay with the idea, because maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is a God. Maybe I just didn't understand or didn't pray enough. All the fallacious arguments, all the backwards thinking that you go through trying to not have to fall out of your base. And over my time, because I've been seeing him for a couple of years on and off, he'll be quiet about it. He won't bring it up. And then, as a lot of cults and a lot of religions do, they'll prey on you when you're the most vulnerable.
Yes.
And it feels like whenever I finally have some form of breakthrough, that's when he says, see, that's what see. If you keep doing this, then you'll understand. If you follow God, you'll have this experience more and more.
David, I want to report this guy right away. We need to figure out what body this is, because you're even recognizing this and you're seeing it. Not only is your therapist starting off by telling you there's no way you can heal without God, which is a horrible, horrible mistake. But to do that where, okay, we're not going to talk about it for a while, and every time you have a breakthrough, he wants to turn it on as God. He needs to be reported to whatever bodies is overseeing his licensing and stuff. That's
using a moment of weakness to proselytize to you is abhorrent. That is a massive ethical violation. That is a massive ethical violation. I'm glad that you recognize it enough that you were looking for some external affirmation, and I hope that you received it, because it sounds to me as though he's not somebody that should be working with people if that's what he uses that opportunity for. If he uses that opportunity to preach his specific religion or any religion at all, when
I want him to lose his job.
Vulnerability, that is disgusting.
Yeah, I want him to lose his job.
Yeah, he's been. I mean, he's part of the church, and the church will pay for like his services if you go and you pay your tithing. You show up every Sunday. They'll pay for your services if you feel you need them. They also, I know that at least I believe he works.
Is he a religious counselor or a registered therapist? This is a very important question, because religious counselors actually don't operate with the jurisdiction for them is the church, because of the loophole in the United States regarding separation of church and state. So they are allowed to present themselves as counselors, even though they do not have a degree and do not actually report into a governing body at all or require a license outside of the diocese that is overseeing them, which sounds to me like is what this person is.
I love that you said it sounds to me and there was a meow.
Meow.
I know he has his doctorates in family counseling and his degrees. I don't know what, I guess.
Find out if he's registered. He may have a doctorate in family counseling and not actually be registered as a licensed therapist in whatever state it is that you're in and report to any board, because he may have opted instead, because you can use this as a loophole to work for the church as a counselor. And the ambiguity in the name allows this as a loophole to work as a counselor. And because I cover this on my channel quite frequently, because it drives me absolutely insane, because people see these people who have potentially legitimate degrees, even though they aren't registered with any sort of oversight, because they're connected to the church. So the church becomes their oversight, and they pay them, and they inject without oversight, which means that you wouldn't actually be able to report this person, unfortunately, because of the legal loopholes within the states and how separation of church and state operates, because that is their oversight, is the church. And it's like this artifice of legitimacy where a counselor that a church is referring to you isn't actually operating as an independent counselor that reports to any sort of counseling or therapy board that's state recognized, but instead is overseen by the diocese, and just kind of has the same name and does the same sort of thing. And they give you to them under the guise of them helping you through your mental health issues, when in fact their entire job is to help you with your mental health issues only insofar as it retains you as a parishioner of that diocese.
I'm wondering, David, does this individual, does he like do Zoom counseling?
He's done a couple with me before, just whenever the pandemic really started up. But
because I'd like to hire him so that I can expose him.
Oh, there's a lot of them,
but
way too many.
That's how irritating this is.
Yeah,
for me. But I'm sorry, but I imagine, as irritating as for us to hear, it's got to be more irritating for you to actually be dealing with. So.
Yeah, I did a whole series on this. If you'd like to watch it, that explains their licensing. It's called How to Be a Christian Counselor. It's on my channel. I know I'm probably not supposed to do this, but it explains with the actual references what these people do in great detail, and how they get their degrees, and how they get oversight, and how they give the artifice of legitimacy, and the churches refer you to them under the guise of them being mental health professionals. And they kind of seem like it, and maybe even have a background into it, but have no oversight outside of the church, and are allowed to do this because they're operating under the auspices of the diocese and not of any registered board, which is why anybody who is seeking mental health, like professional help with mental health, should check to see if the counselor or therapist that they are going to see is registered in the state as a counselor or therapist with oversight so that they can make sure that they actually have to meet the requirements for practice that these people do not have to meet. So I would check right away to see if he even is registered with the board in your state. And based on what you're saying, if you were referred by the church and he's starting to inject this religious practice with impunity, with no fear of any sort of consequence, I would probably think that he's got a bunch of degrees on his wall and maybe has a background in it, but is not registered and is not being overseen by the state, but is instead being overseen by the church due to that loophole. So check to see if he's registered. Everybody should do that, especially if they're referred to a counselor by the church, because it's a sneaky little bullshit thing that they do, and it's frigging infuriating.
Yeah.
My pet peeve.
Yeah, it seems like, I mean, it's been kind of nice because I did call you guys and was hoping to talk to you guys about that and get like you said, the external affirmation. I even have even my mother, she's still a part of the church. My family on my mother's side are all part of the church. And even my mom was like, that's not cool. Like, if you've told him not to do that before, then why is he doing that? That's not okay. But then she also, but I guess because he is part of the church, he feels that he has the duty to protect the gospel and the religion. And it's I don't know, this.
I bet you $1 million he's not even registered with oversight in the state.
Yeah, it actually surprised me. And the thing that you're talking about there, that he feels this obligation, this is the same thing that happens with our elected representatives who they don't have to surrender their religion at the door. They don't have to stop and give up their religion, but they cannot be actively working to legislate their religion onto other people. And therapists, no matter how beholden they feel to the church or to religion, they are not there to proselytize on behalf of their particular religion to their patient. As a matter of fact, the best clinical practices for therapists would have you remain completely neutral or affirming of what the patient's view, and finding out a way for them to improve and better themselves and solve this issue or move beyond it, given the tools that they have, not and science tools that you can give them, not, oh, you need to reach out to God. I mean, it's kind of stunning.
Yeah. The most important thing I want anybody ever to take away from this conversation that you and I had is anytime you seek help, a mental health professional, especially if you're referred to by a church or a religious person, validate, even otherwise, just anytime you are seeking out a mental health professional, because there's so much ambiguity with regulation, is check to see what board within your state or whatever jurisdiction they are registered in. Yep. To make sure that they have regulated oversight, because there's a lot of people who use the ambiguity just in the very word counselor to get away with not even having degrees or having mill degrees or having ulterior motives that present themselves as mental health counselors when in fact that is not what they do.
Yeah. I hope that's helpful, Dave. And I hope that David, and I hope that you find a way to find another therapist and move forward with this situation. But we're like way over time. So can you call us back and give us an update on what you decided and what happened and how it's going?
Yeah, definitely. I've absolutely loved to do that. I've tried to call you guys before. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you,
David.